It is no longer solely a fantasy or a plan to allow foreign tourists to enter Vietnam. It actually has happened already. Just this past Thursday, which I think would be November the 11th, two flights landed at Cam Ranh Airport, which is in Can Hoa Province, which is the airport that serves Nha Trang. One from Japan and one from South Korea. And the two flights carried a total of 429 passengers, and the passengers would have to stay at the Vin Pearl Resort and Spa Long Beach on the Cam Ranh Peninsula. So as one of the plans that had been floated before that seemed more like a fantasy was that Cam Ranh Bay area would be used as a kind of a trial basis for foreign tourists to come in. I'm sure they're on some kind of a package tour, and I think they are kind of limited in their movements. They can do the beaches out there, but they're not free to just go and travel wherever they'd like to, as far as I know. Okay, and another 24 additional flights will carry foreign tourists to three localities, one being Da Nang, the other Phu Quoc Island, and the third one would be Cam Ranh over the next month, I believe. So I think the first flight to Phu Quoc, first scheduled flight, is going to be from South Korea at noon on November 20th. I guess it's going to arrive on November 20th. It appears, that they're in either Phu Quoc or Cam Ranh. They're going to the tourists are going to be restricted to a tour package. And I'm guessing these tourists aren't going to have to quarantine, although their movements will be quite limited. So the plan is Vietnamese carriers will operate nearly 30 flights this month to carry foreign tourists to Quien Giang, which is where Phu Quoc is, Da Nang, and Can Hoa. So anyway, it is kind of encouraging to see that it actually has started in a very limited way, but there was a thought that other than Phu Quoc, that no other province in Vietnam would be allowing foreign tourists to enter in November. The hope was for December at the earliest, but it has actually happened. It does appear that the tourists will have to have certificates showing they're fully vaccinated or have recovered from COVID and test negative for the COVID virus within 72 hours before departure. Pretty typical. They're required to book a package tour with one of designated travel agencies and furnish medical or travel insurance, including cover for COVID-19 treatment worth at least $50,000 US. They will have to install some kind of a COVID health declaration application on their smartphone while in Vietnam. It appears they're mainly going to be targeting Asian tourists, South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, and Thailand, at least at the beginning here. I don't doubt there's going to be some package or charter flights coming in from Russia, which is one of the bigger markets for Nha Trang anyway. So yeah, it is quite positive to hear that. When you can book a flight without a package, that remains to be seen. I don't think it's going to actually happen in this year in December. But once things get started, it can be kind of encouraging, and certainly the tourism business could use some guests to fill up the rooms that have been empty for nearly 2 years. I have heard that Kanhua province has vaccinated very much of the adult population, which would be 18 and above. Unfortunately, new cases of COVID are increasing all over the country since the lockdown was eased up in October, which I guess would be logical. And I think the peak of new daily infections was something like 15,000, and it fell down to right around 3,000 new cases a day. Unfortunately, now it's back up above 8,000 new cases a day throughout the country. Kanhua province itself, it had been only getting maybe 40 cases a day. Now it is over 100, possibly 125 or so per day recently. And out of that, Nha Trang is part of Kanhua, so Nha Trang is probably getting, well, the last few days have not been encouraging. It's been getting close to 50 new cases a day, just the last few days. Before that, it was probably closer to 20 new cases a day. There is a plan, or possibly already it's in motion, to vaccinate school-age people. So far, the vaccines have been limited to 18 and above. And even there, other than certain areas like Kanhua and Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi, I think there's a fairly small percentage of the adult population that's fully vaccinated. However, those places, it seems like they've gotten a very large percentage of their adult population vaccinated, perhaps upwards of 80%. Unfortunately, that does leave a lot of younger people without having vaccines, and also around the rest of the country, there's many places that have fairly low vaccination rates of probably overall the country as about 30% of the entire population fully vaccinated. So it still has a long way to go to get numbers down all over the country, but I think the idea was to try to get a few places with the majority of the people vaccinated so they could feasibly open to foreign tourism and foreign business. So things are moving in that direction. That's the word from Nha Trang. I guess I will add one more thing here. Unfortunately, November, December, January are not the ideal months to visit Nha Trang, Kanhua. We are in the rainy season, and I think that's going to continue through January. And unlike some other Southeast Asian places, Nha Trang can get relatively cool in the winter. We're not talking northern latitudes cool, but still it's not exactly the kind of weather you might want to go swimming in. I mean, as of today, people are definitely on the beach, even though it's a cloudy day. And there will be sunny days coming up now and then. But it isn't the ideal season in Nha Trang or Da Nang Phu Quoc Island is considerably warmer, so if you did want to come to Vietnam for kind of a tropical summer vacation, I would recommend Phu Quoc at least until March as something you might want to consider rather than Can Hoa province. Anyway, keep tuned to news on Vietnam's opening. Again, I don't think you're going to be looking at a chance to get to Vietnam on a regularly scheduled airline without booking a package tour in this year. And possibly next year that will be an option. So you do have some options in the neighborhood of Southeast Asia that will allow tourists to come in, and you'll probably do better to give Thailand a try because they are pretty much open for fully vaccinated tourists to come with fairly limited oversight. You need 1 night of quarantine after you get your COVID test before you're free to travel much of the country. I'm not trying to push Thailand over Vietnam, but logistically, Vietnam is not going to be a possible place to enter for most people, at least for another month or two.